ਬਰੈਂਪਟਨ ਵੱਲ ਲੈ ਚੱਲਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਨੂੰ ਖੋਲ੍ਹਣ ਦੀਆਂ ਤਿਆਰੀਆਂ ਹੋ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਸੇਵਾਵਾਂ ਲਗਾਤਾਰ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ, ਉੱਥੇ ਦੂਜੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਇੱਕ ਹੋਰ ਖਤਰਾ ਲਗਾਤਾਰ ਵੱਧ ਰਿਹਾ ਜਦੋਂ ਦੂਜੀ ਲਹਿਰ ਉੱਠਣ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੋ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ ਕੋਵਿਡ-19 ਦੇ ਮਰੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੀ। ਸੋ ਇਸ ਹਾਲਾਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਤਿਆਰੀ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ, ਇਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਰੀਜਨਲ ਕੌਂਸਲਰ ਮਾਰਟਿਨ ਮੈਡਰੋਇਸ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਦੇ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ।
My first question to you is about reopening the economy. So we heard that Ontario government is reopening some of the businesses from May 4th, which specifically includes seasonal and construction businesses. Do you think it's too early to open the businesses?
So regarding seasonal businesses, yeah, I think one of the I think the issue and where they're trying to balance is trying to recognize that our economy is right now in it's hurting, and we know that when the economy doesn't go well, it's hard for people to put food on the table, and it's a very difficult period. So I think the government's trying to deal with that pressure by adding construction and outdoor some of the outdoor services like garden centers or landscaping, etc. Understanding that at least people can get some economic activity. Construction can move ahead because also construction ultimately it's about people who not only for business, could be business construction, but also could be residential, which we know is important for people who are looking for a home. So I think they're trying to strike the balance. Is it too early? It's, again, I'm not the medical expert. I rely on the medical experts, and I'm sure Premier Ford would have consulted with the provincial medical officer and with the Ministry of Health. So I think that there will be strict guidelines. I know they've added more inspectors, and I think from what I heard from the construction sector, they'll really ensure that the construction sites are safe and have all the safeguards that they have there. But certainly we know that this period is a very sensitive period, and especially for the workers. And and this is the unfortunate part of this tragedy. You're having to decide between putting food on your table or staying safe, and that's the whole tragedy of this moment, and why this is such a difficult moment for all of us.
Coming to Peel region, we know that COVID-19 cases in Peel region are also increasing day by day, and we know that Brampton is also working on a plan to reopen the facilities, and you are leading the team. So how Brampton will work on the plan to reopen some of the essential facilities?
Well, the first thing, and I thank you, is that we have no intention of opening up early, or we have no intention of opening up without the full support and guidance of the provincial government when it comes to especially the medical officer, Ministry of Health, certainly from the federal government, and in conjunction consultation with our medical officer, Dr. Lowe, at Region Appeal and the public health unit. So with that said, you have various levels of government, you have our medical experts, and we will certainly look at what service we possibly could open and see, if we think about right now, people have been at home. We know that families and children want to get back to the playgrounds, and one thing we're blessed here in Brampton, we have a lot of green space. We have a lot of good recreational facilities. So for example, probably some of your viewers really love cricket, for example, and they want to get out and play cricket or play soccer, play field hockey, etc. And one of the issues that we're going to have is that we're going to have to look at all our sports facilities, look at the guidance with our medical experts, and see how can we allow some sports to happen. Like, for example, golf. I'm not a big golfer, me personally, and I know there's many people who like golf. At least it's an opportunity that some people can get out if we can sort of organize it in a way that they can go play safely, get some recreational activity, and play a sport. Tennis is something I've heard. Many avid tennis players who also wanted to play tennis think that that's a sport that's somewhat safe. Again, it won't be a decision by myself or by council at this stage. Right now, we're gathering information. We're going to be doing stakeholder consultations. I'll be meeting with all the experts, all the user groups. I've heard from seniors, for example, similarly to what they do at the grocery stores. Some seniors would like to go to our recreational facilities at certain hours. I heard seniors who are concerned about using some of the tools in the garden. We have a community garden, and they're kind of concerned on how they use the facilities. So that's all the things that we're going to have to look at. First, identify what do community groups, what would they like to see? And I've heard already from many families and many people out there on what they think is essential. Work with our business community, because For example, our downtown business area, I know a lot of those small businesses, they're suffering now. And as some of them contemplate opening when they're allowed to open, then we have the risk of people coming to the downtown and creating crowds. So we have to see how we really look at our public spaces, our garden square downtown Brampton, and we're just going to really we're really have to look and organize it. If you look at our faith-based organizations, so our temples, our mosques, our gurdwaras, etc., our churches, certainly when they sort of receive their congregations back, how does that impact, for example, how are they going to maintain to ensure social distancing is being protected? And then after, what does that mean for us in the surrounding areas, our infrastructure, our roads, our pedestrian? So when people go on our trails, do we have to ensure we maybe include barriers so that there isn't that interaction with people crossing each other? So maybe on some of the trails, we might have to, the ones that we find more popular. So those are all the sort of considerations that we have to think about. And just lastly, for example, for those, for example, who are going to be doing construction at home, going to be doing their driveways at home, they're going to need permits. So we're going to try to make it, identify ways that we can put technology to use and make those key investments and ensure that people don't have to come to City of Brampton, jeopardize their health, come into an actual spot, and they can be able to access a lot of these services online. So this is sort of the gamut and what we'll be doing it. And again, I reiterate, we won't be doing anything without the full support of our medical officers and the guidance by the province and certainly all the authorities involved.
As you were talking about some of the business communities, we know that small businesses are suffering a lot right now, but there are still some businesses who are not considered essential, but they are still open and they are getting fines. So how the city government is making sure that they are closed?
Well, it depends. It's really not up to. There's various levels of responsibilities. So, for example, if we hear that restaurants are operating, we don't have authority necessarily as bylaw officers to go inside the restaurant. Certainly, we will from the outside at the City of Brampton, but the Region Appeal would send in their food inspectors, and some of the inspections would be there to ensure that they're not operating because they should be closed. And that's the way that they will notify. If we know that there are establishments who are working or opening that they shouldn't be, then we certainly have to report this to the competent authorities. And right now, that's kind of a challenge because, again, our bylaw officers are only limited to doing, for example, following social distancing. Right now, that's what they're really, I don't like to use the word policing because they're not police officers, but certainly that's what they're following. We get complaints by 311, and we will investigate accordingly to ensure people are ensuring proper social distancing. But if it's usually sort of like restaurants or bars or businesses are open that shouldn't be open, then we'll pass it off to be it the region or provincial authorities or even Peel Regional Police if it's necessary.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing all this information. Stay safe.
Thank you very much.